Orcas, also known as killer whales, are large marine mammals that belong to the Delphinidae family, which also includes dolphins and pilot whales. Orcas are found in all the world's oceans, from the polar regions to the tropics, and are known for their distinctive black and white coloring and high social behavior. In today's episode, we'll tell a story about an orca who gets herself beached on sharp rocks and how rescuers save her. It's rare for orcas to get stuck on sharp rocks. Orcas are highly agile and skilled swimmers who can navigate through many aquatic environments, including rocky coasts and shallow waters. Orcas are also intelligent and can adapt to new environments and challenges, which helps them to avoid dangers such as sharp rocks. There may be some situations in which orcas could come into contact with sharp rocks, such as if they are chasing prey into shallow water or injured and unable to swim effectively. However, these situations would be relatively rare, and orcas have several adaptations that help them to avoid such hazards. A pod of killer whales was looking for seals along the remote coast of British Columbia in Canada. But soon, this typical hunt became a harrowing moment for a young whale. The young female orca ended up getting stranded on an outcropping of rocks. The confused and scared whale was stressed and badly needed someone to help her. When rescuers spotted the stranded whale, they immediately started to do everything they could to try and comfort her. It was a traumatic situation for everyone involved. The rescuers were heartbroken as they listened to the beautiful orca let out cries of terror and pain. George Fisher heard a sailboat calling over their radio about the distressed whale. He immediately gathered a group of volunteers to try and help free the trapped orca. The whale didn't have much time. Her skin was drying up more and more as the tide went out. Herman Mutter is a whale researcher that helped respond to the rescue efforts. They quickly began covering the stranded killer whale with wet blankets and dousing her with buckets of salt water. She was starting to calm down. When the rescuers first arrived, her breathing was fast and heavy. As they covered her with wet blankets and salt water, she started to relax. She knew that we were there to help her. Many people would have thought they could tie a rope or harness around the whale and drag her out to sea. However, since she was stuck on sharp rocks, that move would have most likely been fatal. These rescuers knew exactly what they needed to do to save her. All the rescue team could do was keep her calm, comforted, and constantly covered in wet blankets and buckets of seawater. The rescuers soaked sheets in seawater and placed these gently along the length of the orca's body. As they worked, the rescuers noticed that the orca's cries were quieting down, and her breathing was becoming calmer. It seemed the humans had won the orca's trust, as they were comforting her while her own family could only stay in the waters nearby and called to her. The rescuers took turns pumping the seawater over the young orca and replacing the sheets covering her with fresh sea-dipped cooler sheets. They saw that the orca calf's dorsal was getting dry, so they used a pillowcase from Eric's boat to wet it with seawater and cover the fin all morning. The weather had fortunately been gray and overcast. However, as the sun rose to its zenith at noon, the cloud cover dispersed, and the heat of the day began in earnest. Everyone worked tirelessly to keep the orca cool and wet. Working in shifts, the humans carefully took care of the orca as if she had a fever, replacing the drier, warmer coverings for cooler, wetter ones all the time, dousing her with seawater from the pump, making sure she would not dry out from the heat of the sun. The only choice was to wait for the tide to rise. The rescue team worked diligently and tirelessly for 8 hours to ensure this beautiful sea mammal would survive. They let the orca see another day, using hoses, multiple buckets, and giant soaked comforters. Finally, the whale could swim free when the tide was high enough. Her pod waited for her in the distance, and as the rescuers watched, she communicated with them. Orcas, also known as killer whales, are top predators in the marine ecosystem and play an essential role in maintaining the balance of their ecosystem. They help to regulate the populations of their prey species, which can help to prevent overgrazing and allow other species to thrive. Orcas also serve as indicators of the health of the marine environment, as changes can influence their behavior and population size in their habitat and prey availability. Orcas are also important culturally and economically. They are a popular attraction at marine parks and aquariums. They can also be found in the wild on the whale-watching tours, which can bring economic benefits to local communities. Orcas have also been revered by many indigenous cultures for centuries and are often seen as symbols of strength, intelligence, and spiritual power. Overall, orcas are essential for the health and balance of marine ecosystems, and they have significant cultural and economic value. It was a fantastic sight, and we're sure the rescuers will never forget this day. We're so glad the orca had such kind people by her side. If you see an orca in trouble, the most important thing to do is to remain calm and not panic. Observe the orca from a safe distance, being careful not to approach or disturb it. If the orca appears to be injured or in distress, you should contact local authorities or a marine mammal rescue organization as soon as possible to report the situation. You should not try to rescue the orca yourself, as it can be dangerous and may cause further harm to the animal. It is also important to remember that it is illegal to feed, touch, or interfere with wild orcas and other marine mammals under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. If you see someone breaking these laws, you should report the incident to the appropriate authorities. Generally, it is essential to respect the orcas in their natural habitat and only observe them from a distance. By following these guidelines, you can help to protect orcas and ensure their well-being. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more great content coming your way, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We post new content weekly and would love to have you join our community. Your support helps us to continue creating informative and entertaining content, and we appreciate it greatly. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you back here soon.